be talking to us on ethical writing and plagiarism. So on behalf of the Sri Sankara College, the Microbiology Department and the Library of the Sri Sankara College, I welcome you, sir, to our midst, and I invite you for the talk, sir. So now the platform is yours, sir. Dr. Vinod, please.
Thank you very much for this invitation. So without wasting, I have one more session in the afternoon, so I don't want to waste any more time. So let me start my presentation right away. Can you hear me properly? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is clear.
Okay. So do you want me to talk in English or Malayalam?
Any language, sir.
So your preference. It's your preference. Customer
So
is
what about the research scholars? Research scholars should
so
say.
you can express your views.
Anybody research scholars? So
English language is okay, sir.
English
okay,
language.
Okay, it's okay. So for the time being, I'm switching my video off. Maybe there will be some disturbances regarding the internet. So let me switch off my video. You can interfere in my session at any time. There is no point there. So let me start my presentation. Can you see my presentation on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it full screen now?
Yes, it's full
Yes,
screen
sir.
now.
And slide changing?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So today we are going to discuss about the issue of plagiarism, and as I think it's Vadsla madam or something, someone like that. As she mentioned, that I've been doing this plagiarism check from 2015 onwards, and that was the year in which the Calicut University introduced the mandatory plagiarism check. So after that, anyone who wished to submit their thesis in Calicut University have to undergo the mandatory plagiarism check. And initially, we used the two software, that is Turnitin and Authenticate. And later, by 2017, we switched to Urkunft. And all these softwares were provided free of cost to the university by the UGC in Calicut. And recently, in 2021, they renamed the Urkunft software as Original. And over the last 5 years or 6 years, I got the opportunity to check more than 900 plus theses and 700 plus research papers. And in our university, this plagiarism check is a one-to-one affair. That means anybody who wishes to do the plagiarism check, they can come to the library, and it may take around 10 to 15 minutes to 5 to 10 minutes for uploading the document, and another 5 to 10 minutes for downloading the document. So in between, the whole process may take around 35 minutes. So in between, we may get around 20-25 minutes for interaction with the research scholar. And based on my interaction with the scholars who already did plagiarism check from our university, I would like to say that around 80 to 85% of the scholars who did plagiarism check from our university have shown some symptoms of nervousness when they come for plagiarism check. They show as around 80 to 85% they showed some symptoms of nervousness. And remaining 10 to 15% have faced the plagiarism check with full confidence. And I often ask them, what makes you so nervous about the plagiarism check to these type of persons, and why you are so confident about plagiarism? What makes you so confident to these kind of persons? So my entire session is based on my experience, and the purpose of the session from my point of view is to prepare you to face the plagiarism check like this individual, that is with full confidence. So this is my game plan. Now, when we are trying to learn something new, there's a custom that we always start with the etymological origin of that term. Like most of the English words, the term plagiarism has also come from the Latin language. And the Latin equivalent word is plagium, which means kidnapping. And you can see the meaning of that term here. An act of fraud involves stealing of someone's work and later lying about it. And now let us move to the definition of the term. This definition is given by Merriam-Webster's online dictionary. You can go through this definition by yourself. The very essence of this definition is that if you want to accuse someone for committing the act of plagiarism, then you have to identify three things in their work. The first thing is that that person has or he is lifting certain ideas or sentences from others' work. So lifting of ideas or sentences from others' work. And the second thing is that that person is using those ideas or sentences in their own work as their own. They're using it as their own. And the third thing is that they will not give proper acknowledgement to the person who originally created those ideas or wrote those sentences. So if you can identify these things in any other's work, then you can accuse that person for committing the act of plagiarism. This is a general definition for plagiarism. I think that is clear for you. Now let us move to the reasons why people commit plagiarism. Here you can see a lady is dumping waste in a public place. And if you ask that lady why you are doing so, probably you may get a ready-made answer. Look, everyone else is doing the same thing. Here you can see a lot of waste dumped here also. So everyone is doing so, I too have a right to do so. You will get the same kind of answer if you ask a person who's committing plagiarism. Look, everyone is doing so, I too have the right to do so. But that is not an ethical way of doing things. So this is the first reason. And another thing is laziness and lack of interest. I think I don't have to explain what is laziness because that is one quality associated with almost all human beings. And lack of interest is another reason. Now, if you want to survive in the higher education sector, you have to have a research degree plus research publication. So you will always be under pressure to publish. And the skill set you need to be a good teacher is totally different from the skill set you need to be a good researcher. Because a teacher basically disseminates the information according to the syllabus, whereas a researcher is supposed to generate new information. So the skill sets are totally different. That's why you will find some great teachers, but they may be poor researchers. Some great researchers may be poor teachers. So if you are not really passionate about research, then doing research or publication will be a very difficult task. And if you are not really interested, then also people may go for the shortcut, that is plagiarism. Another thing is this improper planning. You ask someone has already completed the research PhD. So how much research work you did in each year of your research? They may probably say that around 80 to 85% of the total work was carried out in the last 1 or 1.5 years. So basically, they will waste first three years or so. Then they may get a warning from the guide. Then they will start doing things. By that time, the submission date may be approaching fast. So if you haven't planned your research properly, then also people may go for plagiarism. So you can prepare a plan while starting your research. You can prepare a plan like the first year you will collect the literature. The second year you will next 6 months you can develop your data collection tool. Next 1 year for your data collection. Next 6 months for your data analysis. Another 1 year for writing your thesis. Likewise, you can prepare a plan and you stick to that plan. Then the chance of plagiarism may come. And the chance of occurring plagiarism can be controlled. Because in hurry, there's every chance that you may go to or you may resort to the unethical practice. Another thing is the fear of failure. If you are not confident about your abilities, if you think that if I submit this research article, it will be rejected, or if I submit this thesis, it will be rejected by the evaluation committee, then also people go for the easier method, that is one method, that is plagiarism. Another thing is unhealthy competition. So I already discussed that now everything in a higher education sector depends a lot on your publication records. So if there is a position of associate professor or professor, and if your rival have more publication, then you will be under pressure, and if you cannot handle that properly, again, some people may go for the easier methods. Another thing is lack of printed sources is another reason. Suppose one library has only printed sources and other library has only electronic sources. And you know that copying from electronic sources is very easy. It can do that even without reading the materials. You just press Control A, Control C, and Control V. You can submit your assignment like that. But if you are depending on a printed library where only printed sources are available, then at least you have to read the content, then you have to write. So you have to take more effort. So generally what we see that if the electronic sources are more, the chance of plagiarism will be more. That's in the general sense. Another thing is the lack of awareness. This is a very important reason why people commit plagiarism. You can see the wildlife photographer, he's filming something here, and there's a bear on the background, his attention is somewhere here. So for the time being, the photographer is safe because the bear is looking in the other direction. But the moment the bear turns the attention on the photographer, his life is in danger. This is exactly what is happening in the case of a scholar committing plagiarism. He may think that nobody is watching him, nobody is behind his back, so he will commit plagiarism. And in fact, that bear or the plagiarism, the mandatory ethical check or plagiarism check may come to his work at any time. So you have to be very careful. You have to know what is plagiarism, what are the consequences of plagiarism, and how to avoid this plagiarism. All these things you have to know before starting your research. Otherwise, your position will be like this photographer. And another thing is this poor research skills. You know that from a functional point of view, the research starts with identification of research topic. Then we will move to locating or identifying the literature relating to the study. Then based on that literature, we will prepare our methods, research methods. Then based on that, we will collect data, analyze the data, and finally, we have to communicate our research finding with the external world. And from our experience, we can say that our scholars are very good in identifying the problem, locating the literature or identifying the literature, then forming the research methods, then doing the data collection, analysis, everything they can manage. But when it comes to communicating the research finding with the external world, there lies the problem. They are poor communicators, both oral communication and written communication. So that is another reason why people commit plagiarism, because of their poor communication skill. Another reason is this career advancement pressure. So already told that now if you want to get a placement to the next level, the research publications play an important role there. So if you have more publications, then there's more chance for getting that placement. So this is another reason. And if you don't have the ability, again, people may go for plagiarism. Another thing is this overconfidence. You can see a cat looking in the mirror and sees himself as a lion. And there are some scholars, their numbers may be few, but there are some scholars who think that they are good in computers and they think that they can easily outsmart their research guide, the plagiarism checking official, and these people evaluating their thesis or research papers. So the overconfidence is also leading to plagiarism. Now let us discuss about the different types of plagiarism. The first type is called the clone type of plagiarism. And most of you may be knowing the meaning of clone. It means the duplicate or exact replica of the original, or we can say the carbon, or in other words, the carbon copy. And in this type of plagiarism, a scholar may identify a document which he thinks or she thinks can be copied and presented as their own work. So they will copy the entire content of that document, and without making any change in the content, they will present that as their own. So they won't make anything, they will make changes only in the peripheral part. If it is a thesis, they may change the name of the scholar, then the department, the research guide, the year of submission, etc. They will not make it that any change in the content. If someone is doing like that, it will come under the category a clone type of plagiarism. Here you can see a typical example of such clone type of plagiarism. So this is the original text, and this is the text submitted by a scholar. This is a text submitted by a scholar, and you can see here everything is highlighted. That means they have copied each and every word in this text from another source. So it's a 100% copy or a carbon copy. That is why it is called the clone type of plagiarism. Now there is another type of plagiarism which is called the Control C type of plagiarism. And we are all using this Control C for copying a document, and then we will use the Control V for pasting the document. So in this type of plagiarism, a scholar may identify certain documents and he will copy a certain parts from those documents, not entirely. So a significant portion of his work may be copied from, or a significant percentage of his work are copied from others' work. And here you can see a typical example for that. From here to here, everything is highlighted, and something is missing here, and from here to here. So whatever is appearing in the white background is the sentence or the words written by the scholar. Whatever is appearing in as highlighted, the scholar has copied from other sources. So you can see here the significant portion of his work is copied from other sources. If you are doing so, it will come under the Control C type of plagiarism. And there is another type of plagiarism which is called the Find and Replace type of plagiarism. So in this type of plagiarism, a scholar may again identify certain information from other sources. Then he will identify the keywords of that particular text. Then those keywords will be replaced with the synonymous terms. Then he will submit that document as his. Oh. Now you can see another example for his example here. So this is the original text, and this is the text submitted by the scholar. And here you can see they have used the term indigenous here, indigenous. But the scholar has changed that into native. And here you can see it is written as 19th century. This is in words, but this is in figure. And here you can see that it is written as religious, but the scholar has changed that into sacred. Likewise, a scholar may identify the key terms in a text, and then it will be replaced with the synonymous terms. And if you're doing so, it will come under the category Find and Replace type of plagiarism. Now, there is another type of plagiarism which is called the remix type of plagiarism. If you're having a closer look at the dress of this lady, then you can see that it is not made out of a single cloth, but instead it is made of different pieces of clothes. So they have collected different pieces of clothes from different shops or so. Then everything is stitched together in a logical sequence. Likewise, a scholar may collect information from multiple sources. Then he will rearrange those information in a logical sequence that suits his purpose, and then he will submit that document as his own. And this is the typical example for that. Here you can see the text highlighted in different colors. Nothing is here. That means this scholar has written this sentence. This shows that this is from one source, this is from another source, this is from another source, and this is another source, and this is from another source. So he has collected information for his work from different sources. Then he has rearranged these sentences or paragraphs in a logical sequence. Then he will submit that particular document. So that is remix type of plagiarism. And now another type of plagiarism, this is called the self-plagiarism, which is also called recycled type of plagiarism. Here you can see, you can have a closer look at the publisher, which is Canada. Here also the same thing. And this is September 33, and this is July 91. And now you can see the changes they have made. See, here Tarzan is holding a dagger. Here it is a spear. The animal is crocodile here. It's rhinoceros here. And the dagger is missing here. Here Tarzan have a dagger here. It's a dagger here. And they have made some changes in the dress of Jane also. So what they did here was using an idea from here it's a picture from their own earlier publication, and they made slight or some modifications here and there, and then they use that for their next publication. Likewise, if you are using an information or idea from your earlier publications in your subsequent publication, and if you are not giving proper acknowledgement to your earlier publication, then you will be committing the act of self-plagiarism. For example, suppose a scholar is writing this particular sentence in his first paper. So he has written this sentence on his own, so this is nothing wrong here. But if he is repeating this sentence or this very same idea in the subsequent papers without giving citation, then he is committing the act of plagiarism. So that is self-plagiarism. Now there is another type of plagiarism which is called the hybrid type of plagiarism. As researchers, we may collect the information or data from several publications. And some scholars may give proper citation to some information, and they won't give proper citation to some other information. So their work may be a combination of cited and non-cited information. And if you are doing so, it will come under the category hybrid type of plagiarism. Here you can see the elephant represents the properly cited information, and you can see the butterfly wing here. This is a combination of cited and non-cited information. And if this information, and for this information, and for this information, the scholar has not given any citation. So this is a combination of cited and non-cited information. If you are doing so, it will come under the category hybrid type of plagiarism. Now there is another type of plagiarism which is called the error type of plagiarism. So before explaining what is error type of plagiarism, please go through this quote. I think most of you might have identified that there is something terribly wrong with this quote, because this sentence is attributed to Abraham Lincoln, and you know that at the time of Abraham Lincoln there was no internet. So immediately we will be able to identify that this is a wrong attribution. And now you know what is this error type of plagiarism. While writing our research papers or thesis, we may give attribution or citations. And there are specific objectives for giving citations. If someone wants to trace the original work and compare the information you have presented in your work with the original work, this bibliographic information, that means the author, title, year of publication, the page number, the edition, all this information may lead to the original source. But here the scholars may purposefully distort that information. So in some cases, they will give inaccurate information. And sometimes they may give citation to non-existent information. Here you can see that actually this person is trying to stab the other person. But when media is reporting, it appears that this person is trying to stab the other person, just the opposite. And here you can see an example for that. This is a type of plagiarism. This is the original text, and this is the text submitted by a scholar. The title of the original text is A Natural Setting. But while giving attribution, the scholar has changed the title into Perceived Beauty, Man's Nature. If you look under Perceived Beauty, Man's Nature, you will never find this text. That is exactly what the scholar that is exactly what the scholar was aiming. So if anybody is doing something like this or giving wrong attribution like this, it will come under the error type of plagiarism. Now there is another type of plagiarism which is called the aggregator type of plagiarism. As I told you, there are different objectives for giving citation. And one such objective is to make our research paper or thesis look authentic. Because if suppose you are writing an article on marketing, there's every 90% chance that you may give attribution to an author called Philip Kotler, because he is considered as a master in marketing. Or if you're writing an article on astrophysics, there is every chance that you may give attribution to Stephen Hawking. So in this type of plagiarism, a scholar may give attribution or citation to some of the well-known figures in their particular field, but their work will contain nothing from their original work. So they are giving the citation just to make their research article look authentic. If you are doing so, it will come under the category aggregator type of plagiarism. And here you can see an example for that. Again, this is the original text, and this is the text submitted by the scholar. Here you can see it is a natural setting. Again, the reference is given properly. But if you compare these two texts, then you can see there's a huge difference there. So if you are doing so, it will come under the aggregator type of plagiarism. So giving proper citation, but the work contains nothing from the original work. Now there is another categorization of the plagiarism, which is called the style type of plagiarism. And before that, you can read this particular sentence, and immediately you may attribute this particular sentence to Shashi Tharoor, because he has the habit of using the uncommon words while writing his tweets. So here you can see this kind of sentences, words in his work. So immediately we will be able to someone or the readers may identify that this is a work of Shashi Tharoor. So he has developed a unique style there. So in Malayalam, we can say that the Kunjuni Master has developed a unique style. Vaikam Muhammad Bashir has a unique style. VKN has unique style. And if you are purposefully following that style for writing your prose or your poems or your research article, then also you are supposed to give proper citation. Otherwise, you will be committing the act of style type of plagiarism. But unfortunately, the software cannot identify the style type of plagiarism. And there is another categorization which is called the unintentional type and intentional type of plagiarism. Here, a person knows what is plagiarism, and he has attended several workshops or seminars or whatever you like to call on plagiarism, and still he is committing the act of plagiarism, then it will be categorized as intentional. But if a person don't know what is plagiarism, but he accidentally commits that, it is called the unintentional type of plagiarism. But again, the software is helpless here. And there is another thing called the idea type of plagiarism. Suppose you are using a unique idea developed by others in your research work. Again, you are bound to give proper citation. Otherwise, you will be committing the idea type of plagiarism. Now let us discuss why the plagiarism check, why the university is insisting on plagiarism, why they are implementing the mandatory plagiarism check. And the basic reason is the access to internet and availability of scholarly contents. If you want to elaborate this point, then you can say that our Indian research scenario can be divided into two: pre-Shodhganga era and post-Shodhganga era. I know that I think most of you may be using this Shodhganga. It is a repository where you can download the full text of the theses submitted in India and awarded by the Indian universities. At present, there are more than 3 lakh full text theses available in this through this repository. And before that, then the pre-Shodhganga era, if you want to access a thesis, then you have to travel all the way to that particular university. For example, it is in Rajasthan, then you have to travel all the way because one copy of the thesis may be available with the scholar, one copy may be with the research guide, one copy may be in the department, and one copy may be in the university library. So if you want to access that, you have to travel. There are no other ways. But nowadays, almost all universities have entered into a memorandum of understanding with the UGC in Flipnet. Thereby, it is mandatory for that universities to upload their research theses. Once they are awarded, immediately it will go to Shodhganga. So if you want to access around 50 theses in your research area, you can go to the Shodhganga site and you can download as many theses as you want. There will be no restriction whatsoever there. So if you use this kind of unethical practice, then you can submit a thesis within 3 months or 4 months. So the availability has increased. So the UGC want to bring a quality check or an integrity check. That's why they made almost all universities are making plagiarism check mandatory for their theses. Another thing is the benefits of plagiarism check. So these are self-explanatory, so I don't want to waste the time by discussing these things. It promotes original thinking and creativity, elevation of status, then it promotes academic integrity and ethics, and recognition for hard work. And now we are moving to the software we are using in the universities for plagiarism check, which is called the original. Earlier, it was Urkund. This was developed in the Scandinavian country, Sweden. Now, some features of this software. The first thing is that it is a cloud-based service. That means if you want to use the software, you don't have to install anything on your computer. Once you get access, you will be given a username and a password with which you can log into your account from any part of the world, provided you have an internet connection. And everything they have storing is on cloud. And once you upload something to this software, and of course, this is a copyrighted software, it is not available free of cost, but UGC is giving this access to the software to the participating universities. And the universities are giving accounts to the concerned or affiliated colleges. And now let us see what happens when we upload a document to this Urkund software. When we upload something to this Urkund software, first the software will compare the information or the content of your text with the text available on the internet. So initially they will compare your text with the text available on the internet. And if they find any similarities, it will be noted. Then they will go to another database which is called the publisher's material. Nowadays, most of the publishers are making their database available to this kind of plagiarism checking softwares. So they will compare your text with the text available in publisher's database. Again, they will note down the similarities. And finally, it may go to another database called the student material. Whenever we are uploading something to a database, which to Urkund or Turnitin or Authenticate, it will be stored in a database called, and different software uses different names for that. Some call it student material, some may use it as student archive. So ultimately, it will be stored in a database. So your content will be compared with the content available in the student materials. And again, they will note down the similarity. And all the similarities noted from the internet, the publisher's database, and the student material will be marked in your text. And that will be given to you in a PDF format. That is the report, the output of the plagiarism check. And you can upload your document in any of these formats. It can be in HTML, Word, PDF, ODT, RTF. You can upload it in any format. Now let me discuss the plagiarism checking procedure we are following in our university. When a research scholar comes for plagiarism check, we will create a folder for them. Then we will upload that particular document. It is very much similar to attaching a document in your mail. You just have to show the path and click OK and select the file, click OK, then upload. It will be done. And the software will actually, the software will do the comparison work. And based on that, they will generate a report. And you have to scrutinize that report. This we will discuss in detail. And finally, you will get a report in the PDF format, and that will be given to the scholar. And these are some of the issues that you have to keep in your mind while interpreting the plagiarism checking report. And here you can see two sets of pictures. This is Mahatma Gandhi, and this is Ben Kingsley. And Richard Attenborough chose this Ben Kingsley for the role of Mahatma Gandhi for two reasons. First, his physical resemblance with Mahatma Gandhi. And the second thing is, of course, his acting skills. So this is Ben Kingsley, and this is our father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi. And this is Mona Lisa, and this is also Mona Lisa. And if someone is asked to compare these two sets of pictures, then you may say that these two are similar. This is not the same. These are similar, and this is same. So they may use a similar here, and they may use the term same here. But if you ask the same question, then that means if you ask a plagiarism checking software to compare these two sets of pictures, then the software will say that this is similar and this is also similar. It shows that the software only identifies similarity. I will elaborate it further, that this is a report generated in a software called Turnitin. And you can see that they have identified 3% here. If you show this report to a layman and asks for his comment, probably he may say that this particular scholar might have copied 3% of his work from others. But if you see where the similarity has occurred, then you can say the software has identified similarities in the statistical term mean, standard deviation, and p-value. If you show the content of this report to the same very person, then you will say, oh, this is not plagiarism. These are the standard statistical terms. There are no substitute for that. So this is not plagiarism. This is just a similarity. And this is exactly what I want to convey, that the software only identifies similarity. And all similarities may not come under the category plagiarism. But all plagiarisms all similarities are not plagiarism, but all plagiarism are similarities. I wish to give you another proof for that. Whenever we are uploading a document to the Urkun software, the software will generate a report. And you can see the report here. I have zoomed that. Here what they're saying, read here. About 45% of the document consists of text similar to text found in 150 sources. So they have identified 45% similarity in the text that we have submitted. And the warning they are giving here, please note that the above figure do not automatically means that there is plagiarism in this document. the original document need to be examined closely. So they are giving you a clear warning that we are identifying only similarity, and it is your duty to distinguish between similarity and plagiarism. And again, I would like to say that all similarities may not be plagiarism, and that is exactly the reason why they are using the term similarity index here. Why they are not using the term plagiarism index here? Because they are not claiming that the identified similarities are plagiarism. It may be the terminological similarity. We will discuss that later. So the point here is that please don't accuse anyone for committing the act of plagiarism just by seeing the percentage in the report. You have to go through the report, then you have to decide whether the identified similarities can be categorized as plagiarism or not. Another issue here is the criteria we are using for evaluation. Here you can see two individuals here. One is the tallest man in the world and other one is the shortest man. Suppose you are assigning a physical task to these two persons, maybe moving some earth from one place to other, and you are giving them a 2-hour period to do that work. And you are comparing their output. Most probably, this person may do more work than this person because they are physically, they're miles apart. Likewise, a scholar maybe take for example of two scholars. They are submitting document in the economics department, and one person is doing research on the impact of COVID on the hotel industry in Kerala. For that, he will go to the hotel owners or the person who is running this hotel, and those who are eating from the hotel. He may collect data from them and he will compile his report. So this is basically a primary information-based research. And another person doing research in the very same department is economics, but his subject is something like this, say the contributions of 5-year plans for the economic development of Kerala. And here you can see that this thesis is based on secondary information, because he may be using the already existing information. A lot of information may be available in various government reports about the 5-year plans and how it has impacted, how it has helped the Kerala in its economic development. So it is basically it's a secondary information-based research. And in normal circumstances, the primary data-based research may show less similarity. And the secondary data-based, there is every chance that the secondary data-based research may show a higher percentage of similarity because that information is already in the public. But unfortunately, now universities, we are using the same criteria to evaluate the thesis, both the theses. So from my point of view or from my personal experience, I would like to say that each and every thesis has to be treated as a separate entity. You cannot compare one thesis with another thesis, especially if they are using two different types of information for their research. So this is another issue. And another thing is that the software is not year sensitive. That's another thing. Suppose you have submitted a document in 2010. Somebody has submitted a document in 2010, and they are uploading that document in 2021. So initially, the document was published or submitted in the year 2010, and subsequently, we are uploading that particular document in 2021. The software will definitely identify similarities there. But if you go through the year of publication of the documents, then you may come across documents published in 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, etc. And it is practically impossible for a person who has submitted his document in 2010 to copy from documents published in 2011, 12, 13, etc. It is practically impossible. And it shows that the software is not taking care or not taking into consideration the year of publication. So whenever we are doing retrospective checking, and we have to make sure that we are in this example, suppose 2010 original document, checking in 2011. And from the report generated by the software, we have to make sure that we have excluded each and every publication published after the 2010. Otherwise, this report will give a totally different picture. So this also you have to take into consideration the year of submission of that particular document and year in which the document is checked for identifying the similarity. And another problem with the software is that it doesn't support most of the Indian languages. Recently, it has started to support the Hindi language. Mainly, this kind of software supports only international language. So when you have to check similarity in a Malayalam or Sanskrit or Assamese or Konkani, you still have to depend on human beings. And another thing is that what should be the standard? In some universities, they are treating the entire thesis as a single document. In some other universities, they are treating this document or they are splitting a thesis into different parts. For example, in Calicut University, for checking the plagiarism, we may split the thesis into 3 parts. So the first part will consist of introduction and review. And the second part is research method. And the result discussion, everything will form the third part. So we will submit submit the document for plagiarism check by splitting the thesis into 3 parts. Whereas in some other universities, they will treat everything as a single unit. That means from introduction to the conclusion as a single file. Now let us discuss about the advantage and disadvantage of both this method. And I'm just giving an example here, and this is only for an exam to convey this idea. Suppose there are only 100 sentences in a thesis or a document, in a thesis, and there are 80 plagiarized sentences in that particular document. So if you are calculating, this is for example's sake, in reality, the software is they are using the word count for identifying the similarity, the percentage of similarity. Here, I'm just, to convey this idea, I'm using this sentence as a basic unit. But for identifying, in reality, the basic unit is the word. So if you're calculating the percentage of similarity, then you can see the 80 sentences into 100 divided by 1000 is equal to 8% of similarity. So in this document, the software may identify 8% of similarity, roughly. So if you come across a document with the 8% of similarity, probably we may say that, okay, 92% percentage has contributed by the research scholar. So let us approve this thesis. So generally, we may approve this thesis. And in the same thesis, but in the second case scenario, again, same thesis, that means 1000 sentences. Plagiarized sentences are also same, 80 sentences. And we are dividing the thesis into 3 parts. That is introduction and review. Suppose there are 500 sentences and no plagiarized sentence. That means the percentage of similarity there is 0. Research method, 400 sentences, then again, the percentage of similarity is 0 because there are no plagiarized sentences there. And the analysis part, there are 100 sentences, and out of that, 80 are plagiarized. So here, the percentage of similarity may be 100 into 80 divided by 100, that is 80%. Suppose you come across a thesis with 80% of plagiarism. This is not similarity, but this is perfect plagiarism. 80% of plagiarism in analysis and research part. Probably, no chance we will accept this thesis. Or that means we will reject the thesis. Now see, the same thesis is accepted here, and the same thesis using a different method is rejected here. Now you can decide which method is more appropriate. Now, another thing is that what is the percentage of similarity that can be permitted in a thesis? If you are asking the same question to different universities or different plagiarism checking softwares, they will never give you a definite answer for that. Some may say, or if you are asking the same question to individuals, they may give different answers. Some may say that it is 15%, some may say it is 20%, some may say it is 5%. It depends. But if you are asking them what is the ideal percentage of similarity that can be permitted, then there is only one answer, that is 0. If you can produce a thesis with a 0% similarity, that is well and good. That is why you may see different universities following different yardsticks. So this is another issue. There is no uniform standards. And another issue is the software will identify the similarity only if the document is available in electronic format. If that particular information remains in printed format, the software is helpless there. And another thing is the different thesis format. If you are dividing the thesis into 3 parts or 2 parts, and then, for example, in chemistry, in our university, the scholars may be doing some 3 or 4 experiments. So in the first chapter itself, there will be an introduction, there will be a research method, there will be analysis and result, there will be a conclusion. So 5 experiments means 5 introduction, 5 reviews, 5 methods, 5 analysis and result, and 5 conclusions. So for plagiarism check, what they have to do, they will copy introduction and review from all the 5 chapters. That will be their first 5. They will copy the research methods from 5 chapters. That will be their research method. Then conclusion from 5 chapters, means result, discussion and conclusion from 5 chapters. That will form their third file. So the physical format they submit for plagiarism check, and the physical format they submit their thesis will be different. So the best solution for this issue is to design a format for each and every department, so that that issue can be solved. Another thing is this publication versus plagiarism. So on the, you know that as per the UGC regulations, it is every research scholar is directed, or it is mandatory for every research scholar to publish at least 2 articles in peer-reviewed journals. Then only he will or she will be permitted to submit their thesis. And what scholars normally do, that they will start the research, and while after completing the first experiment, they will write one paper from there. The second experiment, they will again write another paper. The third experiment, again write another paper. So by the time they bring their thesis for plagiarism check, already 3 or 4 publications will be from that thesis. So the software will identify similarity there. Then it will be a problem. So it is always advisable not to publish your core result as research publication before submitting your thesis. You have to be careful while publishing articles from your thesis. And another thing is this compatibility issue. Here I can give you one example. In one day, a lady came for plagiarism check, and the software has identified 23% similarity in her research method part. And we told her that now you are on the brink, because the upper limit in the research method part is 25%. And in her document, it was 23%. So we told her that, why don't you make some change so that you can bring the percentage down. And we recommended certain areas, and she did it by next day. And again, we uploaded the thesis. And then when when the report was generated, it was showing 27% similarity. So now she cannot submit the thesis because the upper limit is 25 only. So we went through her report, and she told us that she did everything we told her to do. Then we finally, after spending 3 or 4 hours, we realized the real issue. Originally, she did everything in Microsoft Office. And in our university, everything is open office based. That means we are using Linux. So she originally created the document in Microsoft Office, and she did the editing in OpenOffice. So that was a compatibility issue. Then we formatted her document, everything was changed into Linux, and then we uploaded the document. Then we got the result. The result was 11%. So here I would like to say that if you are doing something in Microsoft Office, do everything in Microsoft Office in that particular version. And if you are doing something in Linux, then do everything in OpenOffice. Never try to mix these two things. Otherwise, it may result some compatibility issue. Pulling the system. You know that it is practical plenty of such methods, and on ethical reasons, I don't want to discuss those things. My humble request to all of you that please don't resort to such unethical practices. Even if you download something from internet and upload the same document into this plagiarism checking software, there's every chance that you will get a 100% similarity report. But if you do some manipulations, you can make it appear as 0%. But never ever try to do such things. Finally, it will be a burden for you. It will be something like a Damocles sword over your head. Now we are moving on to the methods with which we can prevent this plagiarism. And the first thing is this academic integrity. And most of you might have seen this picture. It appeared in the Hindu newspaper some 5 or 6 years back. So if the parents or their relatives are showing this kind of integrity, you cannot expect that from the students. So the best method is, and unfortunately in our education system, we are permitting our students to copy from KG, that is kindergarten, to PG. There is no restrictions on copying. And all of a sudden, you are introducing this mandatory plagiarism check or integrity check at the highest level, then they will find it difficult to adjust to that. So the best method here is to teach our students the ethical way of using information from a very young age itself. How you can use the information properly. What is the ethical way of using? You have to teach that to the students. Then this issue can be solved to a considerable extent. Another thing is that when you are starting your research, you should have a clear idea about the different types of document from which you are likely to find the information you need for your study. And you should know how to take citation information from them. So whenever you are referring something, you always note down the references. And so the author, the title, the publisher, the year of publication, the page number, the edition statement, the ISBN number, the ISSN number, the DOI number, etc. You note down everything at the time itself. And whenever you are writing, you give some in-text citation regarding, or you put everything that is bibliographic information within a bracket, so that giving citation at the end will be very, very easy. Another thing is that the citation style. There are over 6,000 citation styles in the world. MLA, APA, Harvard, Oxford. There are over 6,000 citation styles there. So at the time of starting your research, please ask either your teachers or research guide or your seniors that what is the citation style followed in our department. And all these citation styles, almost all these citation styles are available online. So and you will get plenty of lectures in YouTube about these citation styles. So have a clear idea about the citation style followed in your department, how to cite a single author document. When there are two authors, what to do, more than two authors, when a document is appearing in title, how to cite a blog, how to cite a mail, how to cite a website. You should understand everything. Then you can avoid this plagiarism to a considerable extent. And another point here is the classification of information is of common knowledge. Here you can see a picture here. This is a sunrise or sunset, and this is a simple chemical equation, and this is our national anthem. There is something common to all these things because these are all common knowledge. If you're using our national anthem in our thesis, there is no need for giving citation because as an Indian, we are supposed to know these things. And if you're writing sunrises in the east or New Delhi is the capital of India, there is no need for giving citation because these are all common knowledge. So the software may identify similarity here, but even then there is no need for giving citation. And whenever you are using the verbatim of others or the sentence written by others, it is always better you put that in inverted comma and then give citation. This is one style. If you're in literature, probably they may use the intending format for giving information. But you have to tell the reader clearly that both the ideas and words belongs to some other person. Otherwise, you are committing plagiarism. The same thing happens if you are using the opinion of others. Again, it is always better you put it in inverted comma and then you give proper citation. And if you are using unique ideas developed by others, again, you are supposed to or bound to give proper citation. Otherwise, it will come under the category idea type of plagiarism. And when are using in-text citation, when you are using a direct quote, that means you are using both the words and ideas. Then you have to give in-text citation. And you are paraphrasing an idea properly, again, you are supposed to give in-text citation. And if you're using an idea from other source for writing your thesis, then again, you have to use in-text citation. But if you are using common knowledge, then there is no need for in-text citation. And if you are using the artworks, image, graphs, statistics, music, etc., then also
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
I don't see the screen now. Is it problem for me only? I don't know. I cannot see the screen.
No, it's true. We can't see the screen.
You cannot screen.
No, now.
Just for 2
For
minutes.
the last 2 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see.
Thank you.
Hello, can you see my video? Hello?
Okay.
Can,
Now
Yeah,
you can see your video.
okay. Now I'll present that again.
Screen sharing is
Can you see my presentation now?
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
sir.
Is it full screen now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
No. Okay. So if you're using the artworks, image, graphs, statistics, music, etc., this also comes under plagiarism. So you have to give proper citation if you're using this kind of information in your thesis. And this another controversial thing is this quotation. Now, almost all the plagiarism checking software has the provision to exclude information presented in quotation mark. So there is a tendency among research scholars to escape from the plagiarism. If you want to escape from plagiarism, you just putting inverted comma. So actually, their thesis or research paper will be full of quotations. So the general rule is that you have to use quotation mark judiciously. Only when it is mandatory, then you have to use the quotation mark. Otherwise, say people generally want to know what is your opinion or your idea about that particular concept, rather than putting someone else's idea. This happens especially in the analysis and result part. There, the use of quotation has to be limited. So this is a general rule. This is a general rule. The more the quotation, actually it reduces the value of your thesis. Then generally we can say, but in literature, the situation may be different, especially if you are doing a character analysis or something like that. Now, another important area is paraphrasing. Many scholars think that the paraphrasing is an art of identifying some keywords and changing that with synonymous words, but that is not the proper paraphrasing. So this is a typical example of paraphrasing. Here you can see that this parrot says yes, and the other parrot says he agreed. So he has retained the idea, but the structure of the whole sentence is changed. So this is the right way of doing paraphrasing. So you can retain the idea and you can express those ideas in your own words. So these are some guiding principles for paraphrasing. First, you have to understand the text, then change the structure and words, then combine ideas if possible, check if the meaning is the same, and finally, you have to give proper acknowledgement to the original source. And there is nothing wrong in seeking the expert help. But if the help you sought is of intellectual in nature, suppose for developing the methodology, for developing or designing the data collection tool on the analysis part, then you are supposed to give citation. But if it is not in intellectual in nature, for example, you have designed a questionnaire and you are employing someone to collect data from the scholars, some from the general public also, then there is no need to give the citation to the person who is collecting the data. It's a mechanical work. There is nothing intellectual involved in that process. And in that case, you don't have to give citation. But if the contribution of some other person are intellectual in nature, then it's always better you give citation to those person also. So there is nothing wrong in seeking expert help. And please don't consider this plagiarism check as a mechanical process. This is a humble request to all those who are guiding the scholars. I've seen in many cases the guides not permitting the students, or they're not allowing the students to exclude certain portions that we will discuss, that you will understand. So please don't consider this as a mechanical process. It is an intellectual process. Software is only an aid, and human beings are the final authority to make changes, or they are the one to make the final call. And another thing is always better. It's always better you use the authentic software. There are plenty of such plagiarism checking softwares available on internet, but from my experience, I would suggest only the authentic software, because you may be submitting your valuable research even before publishing that, and you never know for what purpose these softwares will use this information. And refine till perfection. I've seen many cases the scholars were dejected or tensed when the guide asked them to rewrite their thesis or research article. If you have already submitted some research article to well-known publishers or journals with high impact factor, most probably they may ask you to rewrite your research article 3 or 4 times, because every time you refine, the quality improves. So you have to prepare mentally. You have to prepare yourself mentally to rewrite your thesis 3 or 4 times. Otherwise, it will cause a lot of tension at the end of your research program. And many scholars have asked, whenever I was handling sessions like this, scholars often ask, are there any shortcuts with which we can avoid this plagiarism? And from my opinion, there are no shortcuts. And most of the students face this communication problem. So when you start your research, make some conscious effort to improve your language. And how can you improve your language? Listen as much as possible in that language, speak as much as possible, read as much as possible, and write as much as possible. One best suggestion here is you identify some reputed journals or publications, and every day you read a new article. Initially, it may be a bit difficult to understand it properly, but by the passing of time, you will come to know everything. And based on your reading, you write at least 200 pages or 200 or 300 words every day. So you read quality stuff and you write based on that. If you continue doing this exercise from the very beginning of your research period, by the time you have to write your research report, you will get or you will see marked improvement in your command over language. So definitely, this is one method you all can practice. There are no other shortcuts. Now let us discuss about the consequences of this plagiarism check. If you are caught with the plagiarism, then there is every chance that you will be expelled from that institution. And whatever research degree or recognition you got based on this, it will be cancelled. And if you are a student, there is every chance that you will get an F grade and all these sorts of adjectives. And if you have a history of committing plagiarism, then if you are applying for subsequent posts or collaboration work in the area of research, there is every chance that your request will be rejected. And even imprisonment. Delhi University Vice Chancellor was imprisoned for he was sent to jail, not because he committed, but one of his scholars committed the plagiarism. And they published a paper, and based on that, he has to go to jail. And when you commit plagiarism, it is not only you as an individual will suffer, but your institution will also suffer. Now, some of the leading publishers, they have taken a decision that if someone from a particular department has committed a plagiarism, then they won't accept anything from that department for a period of 2 or 3 years. So for the mistake of one individual, everyone has to pay the price. So have to be very, very careful. Now the UGC has taken these issues very seriously, and in 2017, they came up with a draft. It is known as UGC Promotion of Academic Integrity and Prevention of Plagiarism in Higher Education Institution Regulation Draft. It is 2017. And in 2018, they accepted. Now they have issued this regulation, so it is in practice now. So this is the definition they are giving as per the regulation: an act of academic dishonesty and breach of ethics. It involves using someone else's work as one's own. It also includes data plagiarism and self-plagiarism. We have explained all these things. And these are the objectives of this regulation. The first is creating academic awareness about responsible conduct of research. Then upholding or promoting academic integrity and deterrence from plagiarism. And finally, to develop a system to detect and prevent plagiarism. And they're conducting the awareness program or training programs throughout the country through different mediums. It may be through HRDCs, or now they are giving assistance to the colleges for conducting seminars like this. And they have included it as a compulsory part in the coursework. So as that inaugural speaker rightly pointed out, it has become part of the coursework. And whenever HRDCs are conducting their orientation or refresher program, they are including a session on plagiarism, and they are giving the training to the teachers and students and research scholars on this issue. And these are the areas that one can exclude while doing plagiarism check. Means everything in quotes, reference bibliographies, tables, content, etc. Small similarities of minor in nature, and generic term, law, standard, symbol, standard equation. This is called the common knowledge. So even if the software has identified similarity in this area, you can exclude that for generating your final report. Now, for identifying the similarity in a thesis, they are recommending to divide the thesis into two. That is core area and non-core area. And the core area consists of this analysis, result, interpretation, conclusion, summary, abstracts, etc. So that is the own contribution of the researcher. And there, the 0% tolerance. So no percentage of plagiarism is permitted in that area. And in non-core area, they are dividing the percentage into 4. Up to 10%. Suppose they have identified up to 10% similarity in the non-core area. That means introduction, review, and research methods. Still, you can submit your thesis. And similarity up to 10 means if the similarity is between 10 and 40, then it is considered as level 1 offense. And if it is between 40 and 60, it is level 2 offense. And if it is above 60, it is considered as level 3 offense. And now let us see the penalty for the students. If it is between 10 to 40%, then resubmission of the work within 6 months. Probably you may lose, as a student, as a researcher, you may lose 6 months. Level 2, that means 40 to 60%, that means you will lose 12 months. Resubmission of work after 12 months. So 1 year you will lose. And if it is above 60%, there is every chance that your registration will be cancelled. And there are some penalties for the faculty members also. So if it is between 10 and 40%, 10 and 40%, that is level 1. No publication for a minimum period of 1 year. Level 2 offense, that means no publication for a minimum period of 2 years, 1 increment cut, and no supervision of UG, PG, PhD, and MPhil and PhD for a period of 2 years. 40 to 60%. And if it is above 60%, no publication for a period of 3 years, 2 successive annual increment cut, and no supervision of UG, PG, etc. So suppose you are not permitted to publish anything for a period of 3 years, definitely it will adversely affect the chance of getting placement to the next level. And if you or someone under you is repeating this level 3 offense, that means above 60%, there is every chance that you will be dismissed from the service. Now, these are some guidelines for plagiarism check in Calicut University. Do you want me to discuss this? Hello?
Yes, sir, we will discuss it briefly.
Okay. No, so from Calicut University's plagiarism policy, this is the definition of plagiarism. You can read it here yourself, turning in someone else's work as one's own. We have discussed everything this. Copying words or idea from someone else's works without giving credit to the original work. Failing to put a quotation in a quotation mark. Giving incorrect information about the source of a quotation. This is called the error type of plagiarism. Changing words but copying the sentence structure of a source without giving credit to the original work. That means you are paraphrasing that idea, but you are not giving citation. That is also considered as plagiarism. Copying more than 20 words continuously from a source, whether you give credit to the original work or not. That means, as per the policy of the Calicut University, you cannot copy more than 20 words in a single sequence. Even if you put that in inverted comma, it will be treated as plagiarism. Then the last one is the manipulation of misinterpretation of others' work. This is called the fabrication or falsification. Fabrication simply means cooking data, and falsification means you are changing the data to suit your purpose. Suppose the p-value you have obtained while doing the analysis of variance or ANOVA is more than 0.05. Say, for example, 0.06 or 7. Then there is no significant association between the variables. So you want significant association between the variables. So you are changing the 0.07 into 0.04. That is falsification. Fabrication means you are not doing research and you are cooking data. So if you are doing so, it will come under plagiarism. And here in Calicut University, we are dividing the thesis into 3 files basically, plus the title page. That is introduction and review, the first one. Research method as a second file, and analysis and result as third file. And these are the level of similarity accepted in our university. Again, here we are dividing the thesis into 2, science theses and non-science theses. For science, the introduction and review part can have 25%, and in non-science case, they can have up to 35% similarity in the introduction and review part. For methodology, both science and thesis, science and non-science, it is 25, and for analysis and result, it's only 10%. And these things you can exclude while doing plagiarism check. Auxiliary pages like declaration, tables of contents, certificate, etc. References at the end of chapters, bibliography, appendix, etc. This you can exclude. And this is a guideline you can, some of this guideline you can use in case of your university as well. Do not wait for the 11th hour. I have seen many students coming to the library for plagiarism check, and they'll say, see, we have to submit our thesis tomorrow. And from my experience, what I would like to suggest is that suppose your submission date is on January 1st, then you have to do the plagiarism check at least by December 15th. So you will get adequate time for changing the document. Sometimes the percentage of similarity identified by the software may be above the accepted level. So you have to rewrite those portions. For that, you need time. So don't wait for the 11th hour. Submit your own thesis or research articles. If you are coming with other person's work, we'll never entertain that. Then content of the thesis submitted for plagiarism check and for evaluation should be the same thing. So when you are submitting your thesis, we will keep the soft copy of your document in our library, and you have to submit the same thing for evaluation. And the plagiarism check shall be issued only if the percentage of similarity is within the accepted level. So this is exclusively for our university, so I'm not going to waste time on that. Now, I think I have given an overall view about the plagiarism check, the issue of plagiarism. And I know that I have rushed things a little bit because I have one more session. Unfortunately, there is a clash of days. I have one more session in the evening, so I have rushed the things. I have one more presentation. And are you ready to take a quiz? ഇത്ര നേരം പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യങ്ങൾ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് മനസ്സിലായോ എന്ന് അറിയാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ചെറിയൊരു ക്വിസിന് റെഡിയാണോ? ഹലോ, ആരും ഒന്നും പറയുന്നില്ലല്ലോ. ഹലോ, കേൾക്കുന്നില്ലേ?
Yes sir, let's try.
Yes sir, കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ട്.
നിങ്ങൾ റെഡിയാണോ? ക്വിസിന് റെഡിയാണോ? ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞത് എന്താ വെച്ചാല് എനിക്കൊരു ക്ലാസ്സും കൂടി ഉണ്ടായതുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ കുറച്ച് സ്പീഡിൽ പറഞ്ഞു പോയിട്ടുണ്ടെന്ന് എനിക്കറിയാം. കുറച്ചുകൂടി ഇന്ററാക്റ്റീവ് ആയിട്ടാണ് സാധാരണ സെഷൻസിൽ പോവാറുള്ളത്. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഈ സെഷനും അടുത്തൊരു സെഷനും കൂടി കുറച്ച് നമുക്ക് ഇന്ററാക്റ്റീവ് ആയിട്ട് പോവാം. നമുക്കൊരു 12:30 വരെ ആകുമ്പോഴേക്കും നമുക്ക് വൈൻഡ് അപ്പ് ചെയ്യാന്നുള്ള രീതിയിലാണ് പോകുന്നത്. നിങ്ങൾ ക്വിസ് റെഡിയാണോ?
Okay.
So this is the text submitted by this is the original source, and this is the text submitted by the student. And you have to tell me whether this is plagiarism or not, and you have to give me the reason also. Clear alle? Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes sir.
So, and you have to tell your opinion about this part. Is this plagiarism or not? Is it plagiarism or not?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is plagiarism because it is exceeding the limit of 20 words.
Of course, if you are using the Calicut University guidelines for plagiarism check, then it will be treated as plagiarism. And generally speaking.
Yeah, sure, sir. Because I think you can only ഒരു സ്പെസിഫിക് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ഇതാണെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ നമുക്ക് കോട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. പക്ഷെ ഇതൊരു റിസർച്ച് പേപ്പർ ബേസ് ആവുമ്പോൾ you have to write it in your own words എന്നാണ് I think. I'm not sure.
Any different opinion? വേറെ എന്തെങ്കിലും അഭിപ്രായങ്ങളുണ്ടോ?
സർ, സൈറ്റേഷൻ ക്ലിയർ ആയിട്ട് കൊടുത്തിട്ടുള്ളത് കൊണ്ടിട്ട് തന്നെ പ്ലേജറിസം ആയിട്ട് പറയാൻ പറ്റുമോ?
പറയാൻ പറ്റോ ഇല്ലയോ എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. പറ്റില്ല എന്നാണ് അഭിപ്രായം അല്ലെ? ശരിക്കും പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഇതിന്റെ സംഭവം എന്ന് പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് കാലിക്കറ്റ് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിന്റെ ഗൈഡ് ലൈൻസ് മാറ്റി നിർത്തിയിട്ട് ജനറലി സ്പീക്കിംഗ് ഇത് നമുക്ക് പ്ലേജറിസം ആണ് എന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. കാരണം നമ്മൾ എന്താ വെച്ചാൽ ഒരു റിസർച്ച് ആർട്ടിക്കിളിൽ നമുക്ക് അങ്ങനെ മറ്റൊരാളുടെ വാക്ക് ഉപയോഗിക്കാൻ പാടില്ല എന്നുള്ള അത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ഗൈഡ് ലൈൻ ഉള്ളതായിട്ട് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നില്ല. നമ്മൾ വേറൊരാളുടെ if you are using both the ideas and words of other person, then you have to put that in inverted comma and give citation. So in this case, the student has properly put inverted comma. He has used both the ideas along with the words, and he has given proper inverted comma at the start and the beginning and the end, and he has given proper citation also. So this is not the case of plagiarism. This is the right way of doing things, and this is the right way of doing things. So I'm not talking about Calicut University perspective. Okay, so this is not the right way of this is the right way of doing things. This is not plagiarism.
Okay.
And what about this one? Again, this is the original one and this is the student work.
Split.
Plagiarism ആണോ അല്ലേ?
Say plagiarism.
എന്താണ് റീസൺ പറഞ്ഞോളൂ.
It is not included in the inverted commas.
Yes, absolutely right. If you compare this particular sentence with this, then you can see that both are exactly the same thing. So he has not paraphrased, but he has given citation. If you are giving citation like this, you are claiming that you have properly paraphrased this idea, which you haven't done. So what is missing here is the inverted comma. Has he put inverted comma here, then it should not have been plagiarism. Otherwise, this is plagiarism, typical case of plagiarism. And what about this one? This is the original and this is the student paper. നിങ്ങൾ ആ ടെക്സ്റ്റ് മുഴുവൻ വായിച്ചു നോക്കാൻ നിൽക്കണ്ട കേട്ടോ, അതിന്റെ റെഫറൻസ് ഒക്കെ കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ടോ നോക്കിയാൽ മതി.
I think this is plagiarism because it's remixing type of.
Yeah, okay, of course. Okay, mixing. And
remixing.
Then there's another
reference കൊടുത്തിട്ടില്ല.
Yeah, important thing is that he hasn't given reference there. He hasn't given reference. So this is a typical
reference
case. Yeah, the reference is missing. So this is a typical case of plagiarism. And what about this one? Again, this is the original one and this is the student paper.
I think it's not plagiarism.
Yeah, the reason?
Because it's
Reference is given.
that reference is there and also the matter is not copied from.
Yeah. So somehow they have paraphrased the statement and the idea and they have given citation. So this is not a case of plagiarism, right?
Yes.
And suppose someone is using this statement, the EMS Namboodiripad was the first chief minister of Kerala. Do you think that that information has to be cited?
No.
Why?
Fact of public knowledge.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. That is a fact of public knowledge, or you can say that is common knowledge.
Yeah.
And suppose you are using this information in your thesis, whether to cite this information or not.
The reference has to be written because it's a survey report.
Yeah, so the question is whether you have to give citation to this information or not.
Yes,
sir.
Yes.
Why? Some others.
Why?
Some others work.
Yes.
Some others work.
In simple words, we can say this is not common knowledge. Do you agree with that?
Common knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have completed the quiz. I think overall you have got an idea about this plagiarism. And the golden rule here is that when in doubt, cite. So if you have some doubt about the information you have used in your thesis, whether it is written by you or whether it is someone's word or idea, if you doubt, then it is always better you give proper citation. Otherwise, accidentally, it may cause plagiarism. Now, as I told you in the beginning, that most of the students, research scholars who came for plagiarism check have shown some kind of symptoms of nervousness. So it is just like this. Now, by seeing this picture, most of you may be laughing, but just remember the days when you were taken to the immunization camp by your parents or teachers. You were not laughing, but most of us will be crying. And even after administering the shot or in the injection, we may feel some discomfort. It may be pain, it may be fever, it may be swelling, it may be total discomfort for 2 or 3 days. But after that, we will get immunity from that particular disease for rest of our life. Likewise, The plagiarism check is just like taking a vaccination for, or it is an integrity check. And you may feel some uncomfortable, or you have to go through some uncomfortable situation at that time. But you just remember that actually this may give you immunity from the accusations in the future. So you can prepare mentally like that. It's just like a traffic signal. Most of these traffic signals have 3 lights: green, yellow, and red. If it is green, that means there is no danger, you can drive safely. But if it is yellow, that means it may turn red at any time. So you have to watch properly. Then if it is red, then you have to stop. Your road is not clear. Till it is clear, you have to wait. Likewise, when you are uploading something to the Urkun software, they will show the report in different colors. So that itself will give you an indication about the percentage of similarity there. That I will show you. And this one you have to keep in mind while doing research. Right is right, even if no one is doing it. Wrong is wrong, even if everyone is doing it. And finally, this is a real quote from Abraham Lincoln. You can read it. You can fool all the people some of the time, and some of the people all the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. So if you want to get a PhD, you have to fool only a handful of people. Your research guide, the person doing the plagiarism check, and 2 or 3 the members of your doctoral committee, and 2 or 3 evaluators. If you're able to fool these people, you will get a PhD, but immediately after that, it will go to Shodhganga, and anybody sitting in any part of the world can access your thesis. And especially, people start doing plagiarism checking on your work when they know that you are applying for a higher post. Then, if they identify some unethical practice in your work, then you have to face the consequences we have discussed earlier. Okay? So please, my humble request to all of you is please don't resort to this sort of unethical thing. And this plagiarism is it's a vast area, it's a very big area, and so far we have discussed only this much part. And the information that I've used in my presentation, the pictures I have used in my presentation, everything I collected from from Google, Turnitin, Urkun, SlideShare, and in Flipnet. And so far I have used the infographic techniques. So this is my humble way of giving citation or acknowledgement to all this information. So I've completed my first presentation. Now we are moving to the second presentation. ഞാനൊരു ക്ലാസ്സിലാണ്. അർജന്റാണോ? ഞാനൊരു ക്ലാസ്സിലാണ്. പിന്നെ ഞാൻ 5 മണിക്ക് ശേഷം വിളിച്ചാൽ മതി. 5 മണിക്ക് ശേഷം വിളിച്ചാൽ മതി. 5 മണിക്ക് ശേഷം വിളിച്ചാൽ മതി. One more presentation, please wait. And presentation കാണുന്നുണ്ടോ? Can you see my presentation? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
No full screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
And slide changing?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, thank you. So now we are moving to the second part, that is the interpretation of the report. As I told you in the beginning that itself, that if you upload something into the Urkun software, then the software will do the plagiarism check. That means they will cross-match your information with the information available in the internet, publisher's database, and the student material. And based on that, they will generate a report in the PDF format, and that will be given to the scholars. So now we are moving to that particular part, the report interpretation. And I told you that the report will be shown in different colors. Here you can see If it is 0, then it is in green color. If it is yellow, the 1%, then you can see the color here is light yellow. But as the percentage increases, it turns into red, also dark yellow. Then finally, if it crosses some 30-35%, it becomes red. And if it is more than 60%, it turns into black color. So it tells you clearly the percentage of similarity in that particular document. Now, there are 3 different parts of the report. The first part is called the summary. Here you can see this is the analysis part, and this is the name of the scholar, and this is the date on which the the document was uploaded, and the email ID of the person who uploaded this report. And here you can see this 8%, and they are using the term significance here. It shows that how to interpret this 8%. The software tells you that whatever you have uploaded, or the information you have uploaded, is 8% similar to information available from these sources. So they have identified 8% similarity of information in the document you have uploaded. And these similarities have come from these documents, and they have identified similarities in 83 places. Is that clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Clear alle?
Yes, sir.
This part is actually Urkun software. If you are using Urkun software, this is what you have to do. Okay? Okay. Now the body of the report. The body of the report, you will see that here you can see. The body simply means the text you are uploaded. And they haven't identified any similarity here. So this is perfectly okay. And this is also perfectly okay. And from here to here, the software tells you that the information or the content that the scholar has uploaded from here to here is 100% similar to an information available in this particular source. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the percentage may vary here. As per different similarities, the percentage may vary here. If it is 95%, it shows that whatever the scholar has uploaded is 95% similar to an information available in this particular document. Sometimes it will be only 43%. In that case, you have to interpret that whatever the scholar has uploaded is 43% similar to an information available in this particular document. Is that clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Now there is another part of the final part, which is called the side-by-side comparison. Now here you can see they have identified similarities from these sources, and there are 83 such similarities. So for example, these are about 10 sources. Shows that there are on an average there are 8.3 similarities from one source on an average. So what they will do in the side-by-side comparison, they will identify a particular source, and whatever similarities the software has identified from that particular source, they will place everything in one place. Have a closer look here. The source here. This is same, this is same, and this is same. So all these similarities the software has identified is from this particular document. And here on the left portion, this is the sentence written by the scholar. And this is the sentence in the original text. If you compare these two texts, then you can see that almost 95% of the words are same. And here, 100% of the words are the same. Here also 100% of the words are same. And this 3 indicates that if you start counting the similarities from the top, from the body of the report, this is the 3rd similarity identified, this is the 21st similarity identified, and this is the 22nd similarity identified. Is that clear? Clear ayo?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Clear ayo? So ഒരു സോഴ്സ് എടുത്ത ശേഷം ആ സോഴ്സിൽ നിന്ന് എത്ര സിമിലാരിറ്റി വരുന്നുണ്ട് അതെല്ലാം അടുത്തടുത്ത് place ചെയ്യുന്നു. അത് എത്രാമതായിട്ട് വന്ന സിമിലാരിറ്റി ആണെന്ന് കാണുന്നു. So if a research is for the this part helps the scholar to identify the sentence in the original text also. So the guide can also cross-check what the student has written and with the original document, and then they can decide whether this is acceptable or not. So that is what we are going to discuss in the next part, so interpreting the report. So these are called similarities. These are called similarities. This is also called similarity. And now what we are going to do is we are distinguishing or dividing the similarities into two. This is called acceptable similarity. This is perfectly acceptable. This is called non-acceptable similarity or plagiarism. This is not acceptable. So what is acceptable similarity and what is plagiarism? And here again, to identify that, we are dividing the acceptable similarity into 3 or 4. So the first acceptable similarity is called the terminological similarity. So when you are writing your thesis, you may use the standard terms used in that particular area. For example, if it is marketing, then you may use promotion, services, selling, research, distribution, plan, pricing, advertising, customer behavior. These terms are common to that particular subject, and you may use these terms exclusively in your work. And the software may identify similarity in this area, but there is no need for giving citation because this is acceptable similarity. Is that clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, another thing is this methodological similarity. This happens especially in the science subject. For doing an experiment, you have to use standard material and you have to follow a standard procedure. And while writing that standard procedure, you may identify similarities. You must identify similarity, or the software may identify similarity, because the procedure is common for everyone. So there will be a similarity. The software will identify similarity, and that is also acceptable similarity. Even if the software has identified such similarities, there is no need for giving proper citation there. It's called methodological similarity. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Then another thing is common knowledge. We have already discussed. The software may identify similarity, but it can be excluded. Another thing is called the common expression. Common expression. Common expression, for example, if we are interpreting the p-value, we may write that since the p-value is 0.06, the association between variable A and variable B is not significant. There is every chance that all the persons may write it in the same manner. From the above table can be inferred that, or the information from the above table clearly shows the association between this variable and that variable. Likewise, we will write. This is called the common expression. So even the software may identify similarity there, but it can be excluded while generating the final report. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And finally, there is proper citation, properly cited information. Here you can see, while writing the in literature, they used to indent certain portions. If they are using the verbatim of other person, they may put it in indented format. The inverted comma may be missing. They won't use the inverted comma. Instead, they will put it in indented format, and clearly tells the reader that this particular information belongs to some other sources, or some other has created this information. But this particular software, when you are uploading this into the Urkun software, they will change the format. So now everything will appear in this fashion. Everything will appear in this fashion. So the software don't know this is intended or not, whether this is intended or not, and they will show the similarity here. From here to here, they will show the similarity, but actually the scholar might have given proper citation here because he is using the indenting technique here. So in such cases also, this is acceptable similarity, perfectly acceptable similarity. Only human being can decide this. Is that clear? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So now we are moving on to some, I'll show you some examples. You have to tell whether this is acceptable or this is plagiarism. Okay? Ready or no?
Yes, sir.
So what you have to do, I'll tell you one more. I will repeat that once again. When you come across a text like this, the first thing you have to ask is, suppose you are presenting, you have to imagine that you are presenting this thesis in front of an evaluation board. And they are asking, what is the justification you have for this particular text? Then you are arguing that this comes under, the first argument is this comes under terminological similarity. The second argument is that this is methodological similarity. The third argument that this is common expression. The fourth argument is that this is common knowledge. And fifth argument is that this is properly cited items. And if you think that the evaluation board is likely to accept any of your argument, this is acceptable similarity. And if they are not likely to accept this information, sorry, your argument, then that is non-acceptable similarity. Is that clear?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
നിങ്ങളിവിടെ ചെയ്യേണ്ട കാര്യം എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഇങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു ടെക്സ്റ്റ് നിങ്ങളുടെ മുമ്പിൽ നിങ്ങൾ പ്രതീക്ഷിക്കുന്നു എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങളൊരു ഇവാലുവേഷൻ ബോർഡിന്റെ മുമ്പിൽ പ്രസന്റ് ചെയ്യാണെന്ന് പ്രതീക്ഷിക്കുന്നു. ആ പ്രസന്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് പിന്നെ അവർ ചോദിക്കുന്നു, ഇതിന് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഈ പറഞ്ഞ ടെക്സ്റ്റിന് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എന്ത് എക്സ്പ്ലനേഷൻ ആണ് തരാനുള്ളത്? അപ്പൊ നിങ്ങൾ ആർഗ്യൂ ചെയ്യുന്നു, ഇത് ടെർമിനോളജിക്കൽ സിമിലാരിറ്റിയാണ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മെത്തഡോളജിക്കൽ സിമിലാരിറ്റിയാണ്. സൈറ്റഡ് ഐറ്റം ആണ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നു. ഇങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യുക ഹലോ കാണാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Now, this is the text. You have to tell me whether this is acceptable similarity or not, this particular portion. It's very simple. And is 72% similar to an information available in this particular document. Whether this is acceptable or not.
Acceptable.
Why? And you have to give me the reason.
It's commonly known to all.
Yes, this is common knowledge. These are about the 14 districts in Kerala. It's known to everyone. You cannot change the name of the districts in Kerala. So this is perfectly acceptable because this is terminological similarity. And what about this one? Shows that this is 57% similar to the information in this document. Is this acceptable or not? ആരും ഒന്നും പറയുന്നില്ലല്ലോ. എല്ലാവരോടും ഇല്ലേ ക്ലാസ്? ഹലോ?
Yes, sir, it's acceptable.
എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ്? റീസൺ പറയൂ.
Because it's a designation, so we cannot.
Yeah, designation. These are you cannot change their address. Okay. ഓഡിയോയിൽ എന്തെങ്കിലും പ്രശ്നമുണ്ടോ?
No, sir.
Okay. What about this one? Pardon?
It's also acceptable.
Why? And the reason?
Because these are the headings, common headings we use.
Yeah, these are the common headings we may give. Okay. So this is perfectly acceptable. And what about this one?
Sir, I think this is not acceptable.
And the reason and
Because these are the references.
Yeah, reference എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഈ reference എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ വേറെ രീതിയിൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എഴുതാൻ പറ്റുമോ? ഈ ebid എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ it means and above quoted.
Okay, sir.
So this is perfectly
Acceptable.
This is perfectly acceptable. And what about this one? I'll show you this one.
This is also acceptable, sir.
And why?
These are values.
Yeah, values.
These are the same values. We cannot change that values.
No. These are not the same values. You compare the values here. See, actually, the similarity has come from the statistical terms here. But if you compare the values here, it is 14.824. Here you can see it is 11.953. So the values are different, but the statistical terms are the same. Here you can see extraction of principal component analysis, the same thing here. So they have used the statistical terms are the same, but the values are different. So that is why it is showing only 55% similarity. So this is perfectly acceptable. And what about this one?
This is also acceptable now, sir.
These are the standard terms used in. Pardon?
This is also acceptable.
And you have to tell me the reason also.
Because it's on the particular context, you have to use these terms.
These are the standard terms used by this actually is from thesis
drama.
Drama. So these are the standard terms they are using. Okay. And anybody from chemistry? Chemistry ആരെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടോ അവിടെ? ഹലോ? Chemistry അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ കുറച്ചൊരു ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുണ്ടാകും. Actually, even if it is showing 81% of similarity, actually the similarity has come from these terms HUMO and LUMO. These are the standard terms they are using. So this is perfectly acceptable. The values are different. Anybody from mathematics? Again, this is acceptable because they are giving the expression, the expansion of some equations. So this is also perfectly acceptable. And what about this one? You may be able to tell this. Shows 35% of similarity.
So this is also acceptable.
Also acceptable. Why?
Because these are the common statistical.
Yeah, statistical standard terms. Perfectly right. Anybody from botany? So this is acceptable because they are describing a particular plant. This is perfectly acceptable, even though it is showing 100% similarity. And what about this one? This you all can answer.
It is acceptable.
Why?
A citation is clearly given.
No. This is citation information.
This is the reference.
Yeah.
This
Reference
is actually the reference part.
part.
So if you are following that particular style, you have to write everything in this format only. So whether you are writing, myself is writing, or someone else is writing, and we are all following the same format, it will be like this only. Okay. So this is perfectly acceptable.
Yes, sir.
What about this one?
Acceptable, sir.
Acceptable because it's the name of a conference.
Conference.
You cannot change that. And what about this one?
That is also acceptable.
Why?
The name of Indian Financial
Institution. Institution we cannot change. And anybody from chemistry or science subject here?
Yeah, science subject, so many people are there.
Yeah, they will be able to tell this.
Sir, this is also acceptable because
Why?
it's
Why?
Because
it's a
methodology.
Yes, this is a procedure. This is the standard procedure while doing that, for doing that experiment. So perfectly acceptable. And for this one?
Same are acceptable.
Same thing. It's a description of the experiment. Perfectly acceptable. And what about this one? So you have to ask yourself whether this comes under standard terminology, standard methodology, common knowledge, common expression, or properly cited item.
So this is also acceptable.
Why?
Because it says about this LIs, careers. So
Is there any different of opinions?
So is it? I think some of the private libraries have UFT. I think this is not acceptable.
See, you ask me. See, I am asking you some questions. Can you categorize this under terminological similarity?
No, sir.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Some.
So,
No.
Pardon? No. This
No,
is not.
no.
It is not the name of districts or name of the chemicals, something like that.
No.
It is not terminology. Can you categorize this under the methodological similarity?
No.
No.
No,
Is it
sir.
common
No, sir.
expression?
These are statements. No.
No.
Is it common knowledge?
No.
Is it properly cited? Can you see a reference anywhere?
No, sir. No,
So
sir.
what was the answer to all these 5 questions? Did you answer
Not acceptable.
yes
Not
to any of the
acceptable.
questions?
Acceptable.
Did you
It's not
answer
acceptable.
yes to any of the questions? No.
No.
So what is this?
This is not acceptable.
Non-acceptable, or this is a perfect case of plagiarism. Because this doesn't come under terminological similarity, methodological similarity, common expression, common knowledge, or properly cited items. So this is not acceptable. This is the perfect case of plagiarism. So what to do when you identify plagiarism like this? So I can go. What about this one? You have to ask this question to yourself. Terminology? Answer.
No.
Is it standard terminology?
No.
Methodology?
No.
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 Common expression?
No.
Common knowledge? Hello?
No.
And common
No.
properly cited item?
No.
No.
So what is
No.
this?
Non-acceptable.
So
Plagiarism.
this is
No.
perfect case of plagiarism. This is non-acceptable similarity. So what to do when you come across a text like this? You have 3 or 4 options here. The first option is putting inverted comma here and giving citation. But if you are in Calicut University, this is not acceptable because it exceeds 20 words. And so this is the first option. And you have, whenever you are putting this quotation, you have to remember about the rule regarding quotation. The more the quotation, it actually reduces the value of your thesis. So you have to use that judiciously. So if you want to put the quotation here and you have to give the citation here, then so you can address the issue of plagiarism. So that is the first method, but that is not the most desirable method. That's quotation mark. The second one is you can retain this idea. That means you have to paraphrase the entire idea. Then you have to give proper citation. So paraphrasing and giving proper citation. That is the best method. The third thing is that in certain cases, you have to quote more than 20 words. It depends upon the topic you are dealing with. In such cases, or if it is standard terminology, if it is standard methodology, if it is common expression, if it is common knowledge, the common knowledge from subject to subject may differ. So, and if it is properly cited items, like intended portion. So only human being can identify that. So if the guide is willing to give in writing that this particular portion can be excluded while doing plagiarism check on the following ground, as persons who are doing the plagiarism check, we will exclude this portion from the text and then we will generate the final report. So the third option is getting exemption from the guide. That is third thing. So I'll repeat once again. Putting inverted comma, the first putting everything in quotation, that's the first method. Second is properly paraphrasing. The third one is getting exemption from the guide. And the last one, if the three methods, the above three methods are not working, that means you cannot put it in quotation mark and give citation. Then you cannot properly paraphrase that, and guide is not willing to exempt this portion. Then there is only one method. You have to remove this particular area. You have to remove this particular area from your thesis or research article. So this is how you deal with this similarity identified by the software. Is that clear?
But sir, one question.
Okay.
If this one is submitted in Shodh Ganga and all, if other person will check for this plagiarism, if they find out that this thing is coming under plagiarism, so what can we do?
I'll come to that. See, so I told you in the beginning that the software can identify only similarity, and it is the duty of the human being to decide whether the identified similarity comes under plagiarism or not. So in the case you have mentioned right now, so suppose you are uploading into Shodh Ganga and someone do the plagiarism check, the software may identify. That is why I told you in the beginning itself that no one can accuse the other person just by seeing the percentage. You have to go through the report. That is what the software also recommends. So someone cannot accuse you. If they are accusing, they should have the proper evidence. If they are showing the report, then you will get an opportunity to explain your part, and where you can explain that this is common knowledge, this is common methodology, this is common expression, this is standard terminology, this is properly items. Then you will be exonerated. Is that clear? Hello?
Sir, but you were telling that it's a guide's decision. Some part has to be omitted.
Yeah.
If that comes into this Shodh Ganga and plagiarism and all.
Yes. See, when you are submitting a thesis, the primary responsible person there is your guide. Okay?
Yeah.
So he can give, so when there is an accusation, that accusation is against you as well as your guide. So anybody, if it is, see, name of district, if the software is identifying similarity in the name of districts, you can ask, these are the 14 districts in Kerala, and you cannot change the name. If someone is accusing you, then you ask them, you give a different name for Thrissur district. You would give a different name for Malappuram district. Is it possible to give another name for Malappuram district?
No, sir, no.
Is it possible to give another name for principal component analysis or analysis of variance, chi-square, and test like that? T-test, student T-test, F-test? It is not possible.
No.
Okay.
So I think guide should have an answer for omitting
both you
that
and
part.
Guide, not only guide, both you and guide should have an answer.
Yes.
That is why they will exclude only items. They can prove that this is terminological similarity, this is methodological similarity, this is common expression, this is common knowledge, or this is properly cited items. Only if that can be proved, they will allow you to exclude that portion. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Understood.
Now I have completed my presentation. This is time for you to clarify your doubts. I know that I have rushed things a little bit. I'm very sorry for that. And I will leave my phone number with your librarian. And if you are in need of any sort of help relating to this plagiarism, then you can call me also. Okay. Now, anyhow, you can use this time. If you have another 10 or 15 minutes for clarifying your doubts. Anything you wish to ask about this?
Sir, you were telling that you should not publish your means data before you submit or the thesis has been accepted.
No. I didn't say like that. What I mean is that you have to be careful.
Careful. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. That's.
Okay.
Then how can we protect our data? We are presenting in, there is this research that is, we have to present our data every 6 months, research data in the research committee and all.
Yeah.
So if it is a valuable data before publishing,
See, you are presenting the data before the doctoral. You are presenting the data for your doctoral committee.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You are not publishing those data.
Yeah, presenting only.
You are presenting only.
Okay.
So it may depend on the integrity of that persons who are evaluating your data.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Sir, other than who could authenticate and turn it in, can you please suggest a good plagiarism software that we can use in a college library?
See, now, if which university you are affiliated to?
MG University.
MG University, you can ask them. They will provide you this original software.
But they are not providing it for colleges. They are providing only Grammarly software.
No, in our university, any affiliated college can ask. They will get access to this software.
But when you inquire, they inform that they are not providing it to individual
Then
colleges.
better you write a mail to the UGC InflipNet director that we are in need of the software, our universities, and you have to explain your position. They will make some arrangements.
Okay, sir. Is it safe to use Grammarly for checking?
Grammarly is somewhat. Grammarly is a good one. They have a reputed one. So I think nothing wrong with using Grammarly.
Okay, thank you, sir.
The problem is that they will allow you to upload only 3,000 words or something like that. There will be a word limit.
Okay.
You won't be able to upload an entire thesis into Grammarly.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you.
നമസ്കാരം.
അനിൽ സാർ നമസ്കാരം സാർ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു അല്ലേ?
ഇതൊക്കെ ഈ ശാസ്ത്രമായിട്ട് പഠിക്കണ ആൾക്കാർക്ക് ഇതൊക്കെ വളരെ ഉപകരിക്കണ രീതിയിലാണ് അങ്ങ് പറഞ്ഞു കൊടുത്തത്. പക്ഷെ ഞാൻ കഴിഞ്ഞ ഈ 2-3 ദിക്കില് ഈ എംഫിൽ തീസിസിന്റെ ഇതിനൊക്കെ പോകുമ്പോ ഈ പണ്ട് പബ്ലിഷ്ഡ് ചെയ്ത കുറെ ജേണലുകൾ ഉണ്ടാവും. അതിന്നൊക്കെ എടുത്ത് അതേമാതിരി തന്നെ പകർത്തി വെച്ചേക്കാണ്. ഇത് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാൻ എന്തെങ്കിലും വകുപ്പുണ്ടോ?
അല്ല സാറേ, നമ്മൾക്കിപ്പോ ഇതിലിപ്പോ പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇതില് ബേസിക്കലി ഒരു സംഭവം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഈ ടെക്നോളജി വരുമ്പോൾ എന്തുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നമ്മുടെ മനുഷ്യന്റെ കഴിവുകൾ നമുക്ക് നഷ്ടപ്പെടുന്നു എന്നുള്ളത് ഒരു യാഥാർത്ഥ്യമാണ്. അത് എന്തുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾക്ക് എന്തായാലും കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അതാണ് ഇപ്പൊ സംഭവിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത് എന്നുള്ളതാണ് അൺഫോർച്ചുനേറ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു യാഥാർത്ഥ്യം. ഇപ്പൊ ഇതിൽ നമ്മൾ സാറ് ചോദിച്ച രീതിയിൽ പ്രിന്റഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സാധനത്തിൽ നിന്നുള്ള ഒരു സാധനം പോലും നമ്മുടെ ഈ സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയറിന് ഐഡന്റിഫൈ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ ഒരു അപ്ലോഡ് ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് ഉദാഹരണത്തിന് നമ്മൾ ശോധഗംഗയിൽ നിന്നാണ് നമ്മുടെ ഇൻഫർമേഷൻ മുഴുവൻ എടുത്തിരുന്നത്. നമ്മൾ ഈ സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയറിലേക്ക് ഇത് അപ്ലോഡ് ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് ശോധഗംഗയുടെ സെർവർ ഡൗൺ ആണെങ്കിൽ സ്വാഭാവികമായിട്ടും ഇവർക്ക് എന്തുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഈ പറയുന്ന ശോധഗംഗയിൽ നിന്നുള്ള സിമിലാരിറ്റീസ് ഒന്നും ഐഡന്റിഫൈ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ പല സമയത്ത് നമ്മൾ ഒരേ ഡോക്യുമെന്റ് നമ്മൾ പല സമയത്ത് അപ്ലോഡ് ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ അതിന്റെ നമുക്ക് റിസൾട്ട് കിട്ടുന്നത് പലപ്പോഴും പലതായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതുകൊണ്ട് നമ്മളെപ്പോഴും പറയാറുള്ളത് എന്താ വെച്ചാൽ സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർ ഒരിക്കലും ഒരു ഫൈനൽ സൊല്യൂഷൻ അല്ല. ഒരു സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മൾക്കൊരു എയ്ഡ് മാത്രമാണ് എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. ഒരു ചെറിയ ഉദാഹരണം പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ ഒരു ഡോക്ടറെ അടുത്തേക്ക് പോകുന്നു. ഡോക്ടറെ അടുത്ത് പോയിട്ട് നമ്മൾ BP ചെക്ക് ചെയ്യാണ്. BP ചെക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് ചിലപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് വളരെ ഹൈ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു BP അതിൽ കാണിച്ചിരിക്കാം. പക്ഷെ ഒരു നല്ല ഡോക്ടർ ആണെങ്കിൽ ഒരിക്കലും അപ്പൊ തന്നെ ഹൈ BP കണ്ടു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഉടനെ തന്നെ നിങ്ങൾ അതിന്റെ മെഡിസിൻ കഴിക്കണം എന്ന് ഒരിക്കലും പറയില്ല. അപ്പൊ അയാൾ പറയും എന്താണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾ വന്ന സാഹചര്യം നോക്കും. ചിലപ്പോൾ അയാൾ 4ാമത്തെ നിലയുടെ മുകളിൽ ഇരിക്കുന്ന ഒരാളായിരിക്കും. നമ്മളിത് ഓടി കയറിയിട്ടാണ് ചോദിക്കുന്നത്, സ്വാഭാവികമായിട്ടും നമ്മൾ ഹാർട്ട് ബീറ്റ് കൂടുതലായിരിക്കും. അപ്പൊ ഒരു നല്ല ഡോക്ടർ ആണെങ്കിൽ സാധാരണ അയാൾ പറയാൻ എന്താ വെച്ചാൽ നിങ്ങളൊരു ഡിഫറെന്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള 3 വ്യത്യസ്തമായിട്ടുള്ള സമയങ്ങളിൽ 3 പ്രാവശ്യം ഇവിടെ വന്നിട്ട് ഒന്ന് BP ചെക്ക് ചെയ്ത് നോക്കാം. എന്നിട്ടും അതിലുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ നമ്മൾക്ക് എന്തുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഇതിൽ നിങ്ങൾ മരുന്ന് കഴിക്കേണ്ട ആവശ്യമുള്ളൂ എന്നാണ് അവർ പറയാൻ സാധ്യത. അതേ രീതിയിൽ തന്നെയാണ് ഈ സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയറിന്റെ സംഭവം. സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഒരു എയ്ഡ് മാത്രമാണ്. അത് സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയറിൽ ഇത്ര പെർസെന്റേജ് കണ്ടു എന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചിട്ട് ഒരിക്കലും പറഞ്ഞാൽ അയാൾ പ്ലേജറിസം കമ്മിറ്റ് ചെയ്തു എന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയറിൽ പെർസെന്റേജ് ഇല്ല എന്നതുകൊണ്ട് ഇയാൾ പ്ലേജറിസം കമ്മിറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ല എന്നും നമുക്ക് പൂർണ്ണമായിട്ട് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. അതിന് ഇപ്പോ പിന്നെ ഉള്ള ഫൈനൽ സൊല്യൂഷൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ എന്താണ് എന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഒറ്റ സൊല്യൂഷൻ മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. നമ്മുടെ ആളുകളിൽ ഈ ഇന്റഗ്രിറ്റി ആൻഡ് എത്തിക്സ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ സംഭവങ്ങൾ അത് നമ്മൾ വളർത്തുക എന്ന് മാത്രമാണ് ഇതിനെ ഒരു ആത്യന്തികമായിട്ടുള്ള സൊല്യൂഷൻ എന്നാണ് എനിക്ക് ഈ 5-6 വർഷം ഈ പറയുന്ന മേഖലയുമായിട്ട് പ്രവർത്തിച്ചതിന്റെ അടിസ്ഥാനത്തിൽ മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ളത്.
അങ്ങ് പറഞ്ഞത് വളരെ ശരിയാണ്. പക്ഷേ നീ പറഞ്ഞില്ലേ ഈ ഇന്നത്തെ ഇപ്പൊ ജനറേഷൻ വരുന്നത് ചിന്തിക്കാൻ മറ്റുള്ളവർ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ പിന്നെ ചിന്തിക്കേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ലല്ലോ. ആശയാണെങ്കിലും ഇപ്പൊ ഭാഷയല്ലേ കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. ആശയം അതേപോലെ തന്നെ പകർത്തി വെച്ചിട്ട് ഒരു ഉദാഹരണം ഇപ്പൊ പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഈ ഛന്ദശാസ്ത്രം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ വൃത്തങ്ങളെ കുറിച്ച് പറയണടുത്ത് അതും ഈ കമ്പ്യൂട്ടറിന്റെ ആ സമ്പ്രദായവും തമ്മിൽ ബന്ധിപ്പിച്ചുകൊണ്ടുള്ളതായ 2-3 ലേഖനങ്ങള് ഇത് പണ്ട് ആരോ എഴുതി വെച്ചേണ്ട അത് തന്നെയാണ് ഇപ്പോഴും പോണത്. പുതിയ ഒരു രീതിയിൽ അതിനെ ചിന്തിക്കാൻ ആരും ശ്രദ്ധിക്കണില്ല. അപ്പൊ ആരെങ്കിലും എഴുതി വെച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അത് തന്നെ എടുത്ത് എഴുതാനാണ് ഇന്നത്തെ എല്ലാ റിസർച്ചും നടക്കണത്. അപ്പൊ അതിനെന്തെങ്കിലും ഈ പറഞ്ഞില്ലേ പിന്നെ ഒരു പേടി എന്താ, ഇത് പകർത്തി എഴുതുകയാണോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പ്ലാജറിസം ആണോ എന്നുള്ളതായ ഒരു പേടി പറ്റിയിട്ടുണ്ട് ഈ സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർ വന്നുകൊണ്ട്. അത് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. പക്ഷെ പുതിയൊരു ക്രിയേറ്റീവ് ആയിട്ടുള്ളതായ ഒരു തോട്ട് ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ എന്താ കുട്ടികൾക്ക് നൽകേണ്ട ഒരു ഉപദേശം?
അല്ല, അതിൽ ഒരു സംഭവം നമുക്ക് സാധാരണ നമ്മളെ ഇപ്പൊ സാറ് പറഞ്ഞതെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ബേസിക് ആയിട്ട് നമ്മുടെ ഇപ്പൊ ഒരു ഹയർ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ ഫീൽഡിൽ നടക്കുന്ന റിസർച്ചിനെ കുറിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു അഭിപ്രായമാണ് സാറ് പറഞ്ഞത്. ഞാനും അതിനോട് 100% അത് യോജിക്കുന്നു. അതിന് ഇത് ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത് എന്റെ മാത്രം അഭിപ്രായമാണ്, അല്ലാതെ അതിനൊരു ഫാക്ട് ബേസ്ഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള എന്നുള്ള സംഭവമൊന്നുമില്ല. എന്റെ ഒരു എക്സ്പീരിയൻസിന്റെ ഇതിൽ ഞാൻ എന്റെ കണ്ടെത്തി അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എന്റെ ഒരു അനുഭവത്തിന്റെ വെളിച്ചത്തിൽ എനിക്ക് ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുള്ള അനുഭവമാണ്. അത് ശരിയായിരിക്കാം, തെറ്റായിരിക്കാം. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അതിനോട് വിയോജിക്കാനുള്ള പൂർണ്ണമായിട്ട് സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യമുണ്ട് എന്ന് ഞാൻ വിശ്വസിക്കുന്നു. ഇവിടെ നടക്കുന്ന ഇപ്പൊ വളരെ ബേസിക് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സംഭവം നടക്കുന്ന പറഞ്ഞാല് ഇപ്പോ നമ്മൾ റിസർച്ച് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എല്ലാ ആളുകളെ കൊണ്ട് നിർബന്ധമായിട്ട് ചെയ്യിപ്പിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു പ്രോസസ്സായിട്ട് മാറിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. റിസർച്ച് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മൾക്ക് അതിനൊരു ടൈം ഫ്രെയിം വെക്കാനോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾക്ക് എന്താ വെച്ചാൽ ഒരാളെ നിർബന്ധിച്ചിട്ട് ചെയ്യിപ്പിക്കേണ്ട ഒരു സാധനം അല്ല എന്നാണ് എന്റെ വ്യക്തിപരമായിട്ട് അഭിപ്രായം. നേരെ മറിച്ച് ഇപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ എന്തെങ്കിലും നിങ്ങൾ ഹയർ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ ഫീൽഡിൽ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടോ, നിങ്ങളൊരു PhD ചെയ്തേ പറ്റുള്ളൂ, നിങ്ങൾ റിസർച്ച് പബ്ലിക്കേഷൻ ഉണ്ടാക്കിയേ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. ഇപ്പൊ അവിടെ എന്ത് ചെയ്യുമെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ആളുകളെല്ലാം ഈ പറയുന്ന മാതിരി പിന്നെ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു ടോപ്പിക്, ഇപ്പൊ ഒരു ഉദാഹരണത്തിന് ഒരു റീസെന്റ് ആയിട്ട് ഒരു ആർട്ടിക്കിൾ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അതിൽ പിന്നെ UGCയിൽ നമ്മൾ സബ്മിറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ള റിസർച്ച് പിന്നെ തീസിസുകളെ കുറിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ഇവാലുവേഷൻ കൊടുത്ത അതിലൊരു ടൈറ്റിൽ എന്താ വെച്ചാൽ വാട്ട് ലോട്ട ഹാസ് ടു ഡു വിത്ത് റിസർച്ച് എന്നാണ്. അപ്പൊ അത് ആ ലോട്ട എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞത് പിന്നെ അവർ എടുത്തിട്ടുള്ളത് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഒരു തീസിസിന്റെ ടൈറ്റിൽ നിന്നാണ്. പിന്നെ ആ തീസിസിന്റെ ടൈറ്റിൽ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ലോട്ടേക്ക മഹത്ത് ഹിന്ദി സാഹിത്യമേ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടാണ്. ലോട്ടയുടെ മഹത്വം ഹിന്ദി സാഹിത്യത്തിൽ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടാണ്. അപ്പൊ അവർ പറയുന്നത് എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ഈ വർക്ക് കൊണ്ട് എന്താണ് നമ്മുടെ സമൂഹത്തിന് ഉണ്ടാവുന്നത് എന്നാണ് നോക്കുന്നത്. അതായത് ഇപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ അതിന് വേറൊരു ഏരിയ വരുന്നത് റിസർച്ച് ഫോർ ഇമ്പാക്ട് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് സംഭവമുണ്ട്. നമ്മൾ ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു റിസർച്ച് സെലക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് ഒന്നുമില്ലെങ്കിൽ അത് അഡ്വാൻസ്മെന്റ് ഓഫ് നോളജിനാവണം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അത് ഒരു സൊസൈറ്റിയിലുള്ള ഒരു പ്രോബ്ലം സോൾവ് ചെയ്യാനുള്ള സംഭവമായിരിക്കണം. ബട്ട് അൺഫോർച്ചുനേറ്റ്ലി നമ്മൾ ഇവിടുത്തെ നടക്കുന്ന ഇപ്പോൾ നല്ലൊരു ശതമാനം റിസർച്ച് ഫോർ ദ സേക്ക് ഓഫ് റിസർച്ച് മാത്രമാണ്. അതിന് എന്താണ് സൊല്യൂഷൻ എന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ റിസർച്ചിന് ജെന്യുവിൻ ആയിട്ട് ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ് ഉള്ള ആളുകളെ മാത്രം ഈ ഫീൽഡിലേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവരികയാണെങ്കിൽ ഇതിന് ഒരു പരിധി വരെ കുറച്ചൊരു മാറ്റം ഉണ്ടാവാൻ സാധ്യതയുണ്ട്. അതൊരു പാഷൻ ആവണം. ഞാൻ ആദ്യം പറഞ്ഞതാണ്, ഇതൊരു പാഷനായിട്ട് എടുക്കുന്ന ഒരാളുകളെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം പിന്നെ മാത്രം അവർ ചെയ്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ മാത്രമേ ഇതൊരു സിഗ്നിഫിക്കന്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള കോൺട്രിബ്യൂഷൻ ഉണ്ടാവുള്ളൂ എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. പിന്നെ നമ്മൾ ഓരോ സാറ് കുട്ടികളോട് നമ്മൾക്ക് എന്ത് കൊടുക്കണം എന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നിങ്ങൾ ഈ വർക്ക് ചെയ്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇത് സൊസൈറ്റിക്ക് ഇതുകൊണ്ട് എന്ത് ബെനിഫിറ്റ് ആണ് ഉണ്ടാവുന്നത്, നിങ്ങളുടെ ബ്രാഞ്ച് ഓഫ് നോളജിന് പിന്നെ ഇത് എന്ത് ബെനിഫിറ്റ് ആണ് ഉണ്ടാവുന്നത്, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒരു ബെനിഫിറ്റ് ഉള്ള ഒരു ടോപ്പിക് മാത്രം, അതാണ് ഈ റിസർച്ച് ഫോർ ഇമ്പാക്ട് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. അത് ഉള്ള ഒരു ടോപ്പിക് മാത്രം ഇത് കുട്ടികളെ സെലക്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ സമ്മതിക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഇത് ഒരു പരിധി വരെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കുറച്ചെങ്കിലും ഇത് സോൾവ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും എന്നാണ് എൻ്റെ ഒരു വ്യക്തിപരമായിട്ട് അഭിപ്രായം.
സന്തോഷം.
സാറിന്റെ വീണ്ടും ഞങ്ങൾ ഒന്നിച്ചൊരു കോഴ്സ് ചെയ്തപ്പോൾ എൻ്റെ പാർട്ടിസിപ്പന്റും എൻ്റെ ഒരു നല്ല സുഹൃത്തു കൂടിയാണ് അനിൽ സാർ. അദ്ദേഹത്തിനെ കണ്ടതിൽ വളരെ വളരെ സന്തോഷം. ഇനി എന്തെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടോ?
ആർക്കും ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ഒന്നും ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ വൈൻഡ് അപ്പ് ചെയ്താലോ? Okay, now I request Dr. Midula, our librarian, to propose the vote of thanks. Dr. Midula. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Let me introduce myself to give away the vote of thanks. Myself, Dr. Midula Soman, librarian, Sree Sankara College. Duty assigned to me is to deliver the vote of thanks. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude towards Dr. A.K. Valsa, Head of the Department, Postgraduate and Research Department of Microbiology, Dr. S. Mohan, Convener of the program, and all the faculties of Microbiology Department for selecting this topic that really helps the research community. We are grateful for Dr. Suresh Sir, our principal, for all his support and encouragement. Even in his absence, I express my sincere thanks to our principal. For the informative talk delivered here, we are thankful to Dr. Vinod. Thank you, sir, for your valuable time and for making an excellent presentation and making this session very meaningful, interesting, and informative. This will be very useful for our research scholars. Thank you, sir. My deep sense of appreciation and thanks to all participants who chose to be live with us and attend the session with great enthusiasm and made it as a successful session. Once again, thank you all for being here with us and have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Sree.
Okay, we can
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.